slightly different than the numbers that I gave you before because they're just censused on a slightly different date. Now, you guys may remember when we were in the tier system, we had the the purple tier, the red tier, the orange tier, and the yellow tier. Well, we are in, if we were still following that tier system, we would be in the deep purple. So, we have a positive case positivity rate right now of about 11 to 12%. That was down in the 1.5 just literally 2 months ago. And then, of course, the case count per 100,000 sitting, just right around 41. So you can see by looking at the charts that things have really accelerated. And this just kind of gives you a look over time, how we went from yellow all the way to purple. So I mentioned before that our case count per 100,000 was like 1 or 2, right? Just back in June 28th, it was 2, and our positivity rate was only 1.5. The positivity rate right now is about 11, running almost 12, and of course our case count per 100,000 is right around 41. So extremely steep curve. And this is another way of presenting that curve. We have been trending fairly closely with the state of California. That's the blue line. And the orange line is Fresno County. And you can see that as of August, we actually started accelerating ahead of Fresno County accelerated ahead of the state average for our case count per 100,000. What we've seen throughout the course of this pandemic, we see cases increase in Southern California and the Bay Area, and then they sort of lag over to the Central Valley, and that's why you see that crossover there. We anticipate, hopefully, that line will go down soon. This is just a nice snapshot of our region. You can see the various counties that are around us, Kings all the way down through Kern, and pretty much all of us are in the purple. So it's not very good. And then just a couple slides on vaccines. We are seeing an increase in vaccination, really being driven by this Delta variant. People are starting to see the urgency to become vaccinated. People are being directly impacted by knowing people who have been sick, family members, knowing people who have sadly died from the disease. And the nice thing is we are definitely seeing an increase in people getting vaccinated. So right now we have about 51% of Fresno County vaccinated. And of the population of 12 plus, it's 62.2%, which is a nice improvement over just a week ago. So we've been gaining about 1 to 2% over the last couple of weeks. Before we were only getting like 0.1, 0.2%. So big improvement. And just a little talk about hospitalizations. The people that we are seeing in the hospital right now majority of them are below age 50. So you may recall earlier on in the pandemic, the original variant that was the native variant that was circulating didn't seem to be affecting the younger people so much. Could they get it? Did they get it? Yes, but they were not the people being affected. The people that were being affected, being impacted and sent to the hospital were those 60 years and older, 65 and older. And that's just the opposite right now. And the reason why is because these people are vaccinated. 87.5% in this population are vaccinated. And many of these people are living in healthcare settings such as elder care or senior living centers and places like that, where they have effectively within their population achieved what we call herd immunity. And so this is just really telling, when you look at the people that are being hospitalized versus those who have been vaccinated, the people that are in the hospital right now, 97+% of them are unvaccinated. The people that are in the ICU right now, 100% are unvaccinated. The people that are dying are 99.7% unvaccinated. So the vaccines are powerful. They work really well. You may have heard about something called a breakthrough infection of COVID-19 for people who have been vaccinated. That should not be the story. That should not be the narrative. The narrative is what is driving these numbers up is the unvaccinated population. And I can tell you right now that by being vaccinated, you are 5 times less likely to even contract the virus. And of course, you are almost guaranteed that you would not become severely ill and or hospitalized. So that's my pitch for the vaccine. Dr. Bennett, if there's anything else you'd like to have me cover, just please let me know.
Thank you. That was great. I appreciate the background. And just, it really shows why we're taking this so seriously. So thank you very much, Darren. Now I'd like to turn it over to Naomi Forey, who is our health center coordinator. Before I do that, I wanted to say one of the things that we have done, if you saw Darren's charts backing up in the middle there, where he was showing you in June and July that the numbers were very, very flat, that's when we were making the decision to be on campus again. And so now that we are on campus and we have about 30% of our classes on campus, and our hope is to have most of our classes back in the spring. But right now, we have students here, 30% who, and the employees who are now back on campus to help ensure that we can run these classes. So, and we're back in those high numbers. We might not have made the same decision about coming back if we had seen numbers like this back in June or July. But we're here. We are trying to keep our college open. We are trying to keep our classes on ground that are on ground this semester, and our services that we're able to provide. So Naomi, could you talk to us about what students can do to help keep themselves safe while they're either on our campus or while they're out with their families or doing what they do in the community?
Absolutely. And just for background for me, and hello everybody, and thank you for being here. I spent my first half of the career in an acute care hospital setting in the intensive care unit. And I've worked with infectious diseases quite a bit and in isolation rooms. And so basics are very important. And when you hear about wearing masks, it's very important. It's one of the easiest and safest things you can do to keep yourself safe and to keep your family safe. When you wear a mask, it's important that it covers the nose and mouth. And so I think we've done a great job on this campus, and most people are really good about doing that. But if you see someone who's wearing a mask incorrectly, it's nice to ask them kindly to, please cover your nose with your mask, or something like that. That's very important to keep all of us safe on campus. And when we keep ourselves safe, we're keeping everyone else that we know and everyone else in our community safer as well. We don't have a mandate to social distance. We do recommend at least 3 feet, but whenever you're able, you should try to social distance even more. So if it's easy for you to stay 6 feet away, always do so. And these are habits you should establish ongoing. And it's going to be in place for quite a while, so I think it's a good idea to get into a habit. The other, as far as touching surfaces and worried about germ spread that way, the most important piece for touching and getting infected is just to make sure to wash your hands before you touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. So that's a very good habit to get into. On campus, we do campus contact tracing, and this is to help make sure we don't end up as the center of spread. So it's very important that you notify the health office if you've been exposed, and we have lots of information for you. We have lots of students that call worried about exposure and whether or not they should stay home. And we do need to talk to you to figure out if you need to quarantine or not. Not everybody needs to, and situations vary. So please call us and we'll give you some good information on that. And if you have any symptoms that make you feel a little ill, you need to stay home and call us again. Call health services and we can talk to you to find out if maybe you need to isolate. And a lot of people think they just have allergies, but many of those have turned out to be COVID. Some people say, it's just my allergies or my asthma. Some people think they just have a stomach ache or upset, but many of those have turned out to be COVID. So please let us know when you're not feeling well. Don't come to campus. Stay home and call us. And overall basics for staying healthy is to get extra sleep, rest, and to stay hydrated. Your immune system is what keeps you from getting infected. Your immune system is what helps you develop antibodies when you get a vaccine. And your immune system helps you get better when you're sick. So if you get good sleep, rest, and fluids, your immune system can work up to 4 times better on all of those. If you're well rested, you're less likely to get infected. If you're well rested, you develop more antibodies when you get a vaccination. And if you're well rested, then you can get better faster if you do become infected. And the last thing I'd like to say, and I think Darren was going over the the good points of getting vaccinated. And I know I've spoken to a lot of students that have a lot of concerns about being vaccinated. And the one thing I see over and over again is they're only hearing information, and not all of it is true, about risks of vaccination. But I want everybody to make sure when you're deciding whether to get vaccinated or not, you do not forget the big part, which is the risk of not getting vaccinated. And people have argued with me about, well, not argued, but shared concerns about long-term effects of vaccination. And we haven't seen any of that in many vaccines. They're usually relatively short-term effects. But what we are seeing in larger and larger numbers is long-term consequences of COVID. So be sure you're getting information about both sides when you're making your decisions. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Naomi. Okay, Gurdeep.
Yes, thank you. I know it's a lot of information being shared out today, but we feel that it's important that you have that. Some of the information being shared is going to be available on our website. When we put this forum together, we had the opportunity to ask students to upload questions. So we were able to get quite a few questions, and we're going to start with some of the most frequently asked ones, and we'll do our best to answer those. So let me start with the first question. And also, if you do have questions, please type them into the chat. You can send them directly to me, and we will try to get to those. All right, so Dr. Bennett, I'm going to have you answer the first one. The student's question is, if I'm only taking online classes, do I still need to get vaccinated?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. We are working through hundreds of questions like this, but the answer to this one is, if you are 100% online, then you do not need to be vaccinated. But what that means is that you are, if you want to come to campus, if you want to come inside buildings to receive student services or to study or to meet with someone, you would need to be vaccinated. But if you're in online classes, you can take online services, or we have online services. All of our services are 100% online, and they're very good because we have been working online for the last year and a half. So you do have options.
Okay, great. Thank you. And speaking of online services, if you need help utilizing any of those, please contact our Welcome Center. They can direct you to any of the online support that we have. So question number 2. Will we be allowed to get an exemption for the vaccine, specifically for health or religious reasons?
Okay, these are really, really timely questions, really good questions. We are working on that right now. And what we're doing is we have some groups of people who are working on the answer to that question for both medical and religious exemptions or reasons. And as soon as we have those details, which hopefully will be next week, we'll be able to share them with you. But I do want to say, once the district comes up with a decision or an answer or a process for this, it will be district-wide.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Dr. Bennett, because we know that a lot of our students are cross-enrolled. So it's good to have one system in place that students will be able to access either a waiver or be able to upload it, or whatever our process is going to be. So basically, we are working on that process, and hopefully next week we will be able to send out information to students. So I do want to encourage students, please be checking your email. All right, next question. If we are not vaccinated and don't plan to get vaccinated, will we have to drop our current in-person classes?
So I know this is another important question for a lot of people. Currently, our mandate is, as I started and read at the beginning, our mandate is that you will need to be vaccinated by October 15th if you want to continue in your classes. We're working on options. I hope to be able to share those with you next week. I know some people are anxious for this, but we want to work through, have all the right people coming together with ideas, and then we will share them out as soon as we have some processes and answers that will be then again district-wide.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. So just to confirm that at this moment, don't just drop your classes. I would hold on and wait till at least next week until we can have some options available, and then take a look at those options. And then at that point, decide what you would like to be able to do. So thank you. Next question, and Naomi, I actually may have you help with this one. Will we still have to wear masks after everyone is vaccinated? Oh, wait a minute. Actually, no. Dr. Bennett, can you ask that one? I was going to be like, Naomi, can you explain once again what is an approved mask? So Dr. Bennett, let's have you do that one first.
Okay, so I'll start with the question again was, do we still have to wear masks if we're vaccinated?
Right.
And the answer is yes. Right now, the district has a mask mandate, and everyone who is comes inside any of our facilities is required to wear a mask, whether or not you have a vaccination. And that goes back to directly what Naomi was saying earlier about how that helps us keep each other safe during this time.
Perfect. Okay. So as of right now, yes, you will need to wear a mask. Let's see. The next question is, will there be exemptions for those who have proof of recent COVID illness? So Naomi, I think that's the one I probably need to send over to you.
Now, they're still getting data on COVID illness, but what they found is that after a COVID illness, there's some level of immunity. They have found that wanes pretty quickly because people who have gotten COVID have gotten it again. But they've seen data that shows for about 90 days that you probably have pretty good immunity against getting infected again. And they also have a recommendation, many doctors are recommending that if you've had a COVID illness, you shouldn't get vaccinated for 90 days. So most likely, and I'm almost positive this would be the case, if you have had a recent COVID illness, you would have an exemption for 90 days. It's called a conditional exemption for 90 days to wait until it's safe for you to get that vaccine after you've had the illness. And so because you have that immunity, it's most likely we would let you go to campus until your vaccination was due. Was that clear?
I think so. Yes, thank you. Again, talk to our health services office. They're located in AC2 upstairs. What is the room number, Naomi?
AC2 274 West.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, the next question is, what does it say? Okay, will I be refunded if I have to drop out of my in-person classes? Bennett?
I don't know. That's, unfortunately, the answer to most everything this week is we're working on that. We have a group of people, and several of them are here in this group today. Our managers from across the different departments are talking and looking at different options, and we'll be able to answer questions like that soon.
Okay, perfect. Next question, do we need to always carry our vaccine card on campus?
So right now, my advice, if it was me, I would say yes, because then you have it to show. We are working on a process for how to determine, both for employees and students who come inside the building, whether you are vaccinated or not, and then how to verify that. So there are several different options that we're looking at. So I don't know whether going forward, whether you'll actually need your card or if we'll have a different system. I would say make sure you keep your card around. I would keep it handy in case you need it. But there are other ways to be able to verify that. And we'll save those for maybe adding to the FAQ page that we'll talk about a little bit later.
We can definitely do that. And I believe there is a way to upload it onto your phone now as well.
Yeah, yes. And it's electronic and it's from the state. And I did it, so I know that it works and it's really easy. If I can do it, it's easy.
Okay, we've got another question. Dr. Bennett, is federal funding tied to the vaccine mandate? Are we being forced into this?
No and no. So no, it is not tied to federal funding. It is an individual. So at the state level, all the CSUs and all the UCs and K through 12s were given one set of directions. At the community college system level, each different district is allowed to make its own decisions. But I will tell you that as of right now, up and down the state, districts across the state are going through the exact same process we did, and the boards of directors are having these discussions. And the majority of the community college districts up and down the state have implemented or are in the process, like we are, of implementing the vaccine mandate. And the real reason that we're all doing it is because of the data that Darren presented earlier, and the fact that we need to be part of our community. We need to be able to keep our colleges open and provide education to our students. And this is a way for us to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, do I still need to take the vaccine if I'm taking fitness walking, which doesn't involve needing to be on campus? So I think we kind of might have addressed that one earlier. The current mandate states that if you are going to be entering inside any of the facilities, that's when you need to be vaccinated. So if this is off-site and you're walking outdoors as a part of your class, that's totally okay. But if you're going to be entering inside any of the facilities by October 15th, after October 15th, you will have to be vaccinated. And as Dr. Bennett mentioned, we're working on the process of how we're going to verify that in front of all the buildings, but it's just quite a task. So that's why right now we're working on it. Let's see, other questions. I think that might be all of them so far. I'm looking to see if we've got any others that have dropped in. That one. Okay, will the vaccine be the only option, or will Clovis Community College follow like some other schools, giving the option of weekly testing?
And again, I have to say, I don't know. What I can say right now is if you go back to what the board mandate or the board passed as our mandate, it says that anyone who enters inside a building must be vaccinated. Now, whether we this is an option that we consider or end up approving or using, I don't know. We're still in discussions. So for right now, I'd have to say, the current process is that it's the vaccine mandate.
Thank you. So it looks like we don't have any other questions coming via the chat. Just a reminder for students, if you are still wanting to ask additional questions, please put them in the chat. We will hold another forum hopefully next week, because right now our deadline is to be able to at least get some answers to the questions that were asked earlier today. Dr. Bennett, before I go into sharing other information, do you have anything else you want to share?
I'll jump in and talk about the process a little bit before we go to the final.
Sure.
Phase. Okay, so just again to let you know, or to repeat, we have people from all across the district, all the different campuses working together to answer these questions. And for all the people who sent in questions or put them into the chat, if we didn't answer something today, please know that we're taking everybody's questions and we are going through them, and we are working on them. And as we get answers, we're adding them to the frequently asked questions list that, again, Gurdeep will talk about in a minute. But we're working through them, and we hope to have most of the answers for students by next week. And I guess the other thing is, I really want you to hear that this is sort of an all hands on deck, that we are trying our hardest to, we know our job is to implement this mandate, and we know we have a time certain of August 15th, but we also are trying to make decisions and come up with options that require, that cause the least amount of impact, I guess I'll use that word, impact on students as we move through this and work with it. So with that, I'll turn it to Gurdeep for.
Yeah, a couple questions, and actually, Darren, you might be, if you're able to answer this one, two of them that have to do with the vaccine. Which vaccine is currently FDA approved?
So currently, we have 3 vaccines that are approved by the FDA. 2 of them are under what's called conditional use authorization. That would be the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And we have a fully approved FDA vaccine, that is the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, which was just approved last Monday for full use for those 16 years and older.
Thank you. And the next one is, does the vaccine work on the Delta variant?
Yeah, great question. That comes up a lot. And yes, the vaccines are still effective on the Delta variant. In particular, they are extremely effective at keeping you from becoming severely ill or hospitalized.
Okay. It looks like I've got a couple of other questions that just popped up in regards to exemptions. So we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I'm glad it's being brought up again, because that is definitely a very popular question right now. So as of right now, we do not have the process in place on how to get an exemption, but we are looking at health exemptions and religious exemptions. We just do not have the details as of right now, but hopefully by next week, we will have those, plus a process of how you will actually go about getting an exemption. So thank you for those questions. And to kind of add on to what Dr. Bennett said earlier, as of right now, 68 colleges and 33 districts have the vaccine mandate. The next question, are we required to get the FDA approved vaccine? Darren, would you happen to know?
No, you're able to get any of the 3 available vaccines right now in order to comply with this mandate.
Thank you. Next question is the college going to assume liability if we take this vaccine and get adverse effects? Darren or Dr. Bennett, if you have.
I would say that is also a question that is has a group taking a look at the answer.
Perfect. The other thing that kind of leads me to the next part of this forum is we have, number one, we have a vaccine clinic scheduled for next week, September the 9th. And Stephanie, if you're able to drop the information into the chat for students to utilize that if you need that information. The second one is, if you would like to stay on top of what answers we have and questions that are being asked, please go to our vaccine website. You can access it from the front of our webpage. Just look for vaccine updates, click on there. That's where we will be taking questions from you, and also be putting together our FAQs, our frequently asked questions list. So as we get answers, we will update that hopefully on a a daily basis. It's kind of like we don't have something in place that we could put up right now, but that at least will help us get there.
And I'll just add also, you mentioned we're having a vaccine clinic on our campus, but also all our sister colleges are having them also. So if the date for ours doesn't work for you, you can check at Fresno City or Reedley or Madera, and or on our website where there are other places that you can go.
Thank you. And another question. Why was this mandate made after the drop dates and halfway through the semester?
It was made at this point in time because basically because of watching the data of what was happening with COVID in the community, and knowing from the experts, and Darren, you may be able to add a little more to this, the experts were looking at the numbers skyrocketing in the months of September and October. So if we go back to what is the purpose of this mandate, it's to keep our students and our employees and our community safe. The timing is because of what's happening in the community with COVID and the hospital beds and things like that. It wasn't based on, COVID isn't working on an academic school year, I guess would be not a very funny answer, but trying to make it lighter. Darren?
Yeah, just add one more thing. Is we've seen now this is our third wave of COVID, and the experts say really our only way out of this long term is to have mass immunization within our community, and I think our board recognized that, and that's one of the decision-making factors that they used in making the determination that a mandate was appropriate.
Thank you. And the other thing, just wanted to mention, our deans have done a great job adding additional short-term classes. So those will be starting October 11th. So if you are looking at possibly needing to drop an in-person class, again, this is an option that we actually have available right now, where you can take a look at the list of classes that we have. And the ones that we've just recently added, and hope to probably even add some more. Also, masks are available to all students for free. You're welcome to visit the Welcome Center, the health office, and also pretty much on every entryway, we have those available as well too. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. She just dropped in the link to our short-term classes. Well, let's see. Why couldn't the mandate be placed next semester? Darren? I think it was kind of answered, but I just want to make sure I catch that.
Yeah, I just would echo what Dr. Bennett had said. The board was really looking at the data and looking at what was going on in our community right now in real time, and decided to act upon that information.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I think that's it for now. I know we've got a couple in regards to the classes, but again, we don't have an answer for what will be approved and what exactly the options will be for those students who are needing to drop any in-person class. If you could just kind of hold on until next week, we will have some more information. Again, thank you to everyone for coming today. Dr. Bennett, anything else?
Yeah, in closing, I was thinking, as the last couple of questions were being answered, I wanted to just say that we are doing our best to try to work through all of this and get you information as soon as possible. So with the least amount of impact. We know that this mandate is not going to work for everyone. We understand that, but we are working our best to make it, to do what we can to help. I guess the thing I was thinking about was the flip side of that is we were closed for a year and a half, and there is, from a president point of view, the number of students who also ended up having to drop out of school or not be able to continue because online wasn't an option for them, we really need to be able to provide on-ground classes. And now we've got both options, on-ground and online options for students. But the only way we'll be able to continue to offer the on-ground is if we move forward with a vaccine mandate that will help us to keep safe so we can keep our classes open. So, with that, I hope that you will help us by being patient. Give us another few days to work through all of this so that we can come up with some good, solid answers. Help us, please, with sort of the Clovis Crush way of we will be implementing it, but we'll be trying to do this in a very smooth transition. And we will keep you posted as much as we can and share as much information. Just keep checking the website. We'll put it all there. And then we'll get through this, as our college and our district always does. We will get through this, but we'll do it together. And I want to thank you to those of you who took time to come today and listen to this. Really, really appreciate that. And we will definitely go through all the questions if we missed any and make sure that we follow up on them and get answers back over the next week or two. All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett, and thank you for joining us today. We hope to be back next week with some more answers to your questions. But again, please help us by bringing those questions forward. Go to our website that has the vaccine information and upload those questions, and we will definitely get to those. All right, I think that is good for today. Have an awesome rest of the afternoon, and a big thank you to Patrick, Liz, Stephanie, and Phil for helping us get this forum put together. And Darren and Naomi, thank you for taking those questions.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Recording is stopped. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to jump off now.
All right.
Good job,
Thanks.
Pradeep.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thanks, Gurdeep. That was awesome.
See you guys
Thank
soon.
you all. Barring any objections, I'll end the meeting for everyone.
Yes, please.
Phil, if you can make me the host, and
Yeah.
we'll
Sure.
just debrief here. Students, if you are still on, please go ahead and jump off. The meeting has ended.